friends, and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to share with you one of my favorite recipes that I've been making for several years, and that is homemade granola. I love this recipe because it's really easy to travel with, which is one of the reasons why I make it a lot, because we take it on the weekend with some fresh fruit or peaches this time of year and some yogurt, and breakfast is really super easy to make on the road. I also like it because you can make it in large batches for groups of people, or you can just make it for individual servings. And it's kid friendly, so you can have the little ones in the kitchen with you while you're making it. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna go ahead and start with all my dry ingredients. Old-fashioned oats, chopped pecans, a good dose of cinnamon, light brown sugar, and just to balance the sweetness of this granola, a little bit of table salt. And we'll go ahead and mix that up together. Now this is a maple cinnamon granola, and I'm gonna show you two varieties today. The other one is a honey almond granola, and I like that one because you can mix it up and add different add-ins. Like today we'll do toasted coconut and some mini chocolate chips, and that way it turns it into a little bit of a trail mix, which is fun as well. Okay, now we're gonna add in the liquid ingredients. I've got extra virgin olive oil and pure maple syrup. Now with the maple syrup, you want to make sure that you really use pure maple syrup and not the maple sauce or pancake syrup that they have in the stores. So this one is a little bit more runnier than a pancake sauce. So again, it's real maple syrup. And then we're going to add the extra virgin olive oil. And this just gives the granola enough liquid to combine the ingredients, and then it will slowly bake into the oats to cook the oats and give it a really yummy taste, and it gives it a little bit of sugar too. Now this recipe can also be doubled or tripled. I just have a small batch, which is going to make probably about 4.5 cups, but you can make a big old batch if you want to. All right, once everything's combined, you're going to put it on a sheet pan that's lined in parchment. It's just a piece of parchment paper that I cut to fit the size of the sheet. And we are going to pour it onto the sheet pan and evenly spread it out. So after we get our granola out of the oven in just a little bit, I will show you all the different ways that I like to enjoy this. It can be breakfast, it can be a treat, an afternoon snack. You can even sprinkle it over ice cream for a little bit of crunch. And if you like to experiment with different kinds of nuts, this recipe, the cinnamon maple, has pecans, but you can also try walnuts if you'd like. Just make sure that the nuts are thick and chopped, not thin or sliced, because then they'll burn. So you want to make sure that you've got a good chunky nut in there. All right, now that we have the granola laid out on the sheet pan, it's time to put it in the oven. It's gonna go low and slow, so it's going to be 300 degrees for 20 minutes. Then we'll take it out, give it a little bit of a stir, put it in for another 20 minutes, take it out, get a little bit of a stir, and then put it in for about another 10 to 15 minutes. So 50 to 55 minutes total will be how long this goes into the oven, and your house will smell so delicious. Let's go bake it. All right, our granola's finished. You can see it is a golden brown color. It's a little bit tacky and not fully dry, but it will firm up and become really crispy as it cools. So now we're going to wait for this first batch of granola to completely cool, and then we can break up any of the large chunks into smaller ones and store it in an airtight container. Now it's time to make the honey almond granola. And as I mentioned, I really like this one because you can swap out ingredients very easily. You can add dried fruit to it. Later we're going to add toasted coconut and some chocolate chips. But you can turn it into a trail mix, or it's a little bit less sweet than the maple cinnamon one that we just made. And it's just the more versatile one. So let's go ahead and get started with, again, the dry ingredients. We've got old-fashioned oats, light brown sugar, a good dose of cinnamon, And the important thing is I'm using slivered almonds, and you want to do this instead of sliced, because if you used thinly sliced almonds that they sell in the package, they'll burn while you're making the granola. So make sure that you have a little bit of a chunky nut going into this one. We'll go ahead and give it a stir to combine. I'm really interested to see if you play with the ingredients, which mix-ins you'll play with. I love semi-sweet chocolate, so anytime I can sneak that into something and make it feel a little healthier over yogurt with berries, then I feel good about myself. So that's what I usually use in mine, but I'd love to know what you use in yours. All right, so this one is a little bit different than the other granola in that we're going to melt butter and honey in a saucepan over low heat to combine, and then we'll drizzle it into the bowl with the dry ingredients and then mix it all up together and we'll bake it. So let's go ahead and add the unsalted butter, and then we're going to add a good dose of honey. And then we'll put it over the stove for low heat just to melt the butter and whisk to combine, and then we'll be back to mix it in with the dry ingredients. Okay, so we have the honey and unsalted butter melted and whisked together, and we're just going to go ahead and pour it over the dry ingredients and give it a good stir to make sure everything combines. This is a great recipe that you can make with littles in the kitchen. The butter and the honey, they don't get too hot, but of course you can assist with that if you're worried about it being too warm for their little hands to be near. But it's just a lot of stirring and mixing, and it's fun and helpful for them in the kitchen. Okay, now that we have everything incorporated, give it one last stir. We're going to pour it on a sheet pan with parchment paper. And then spread it in an even layer. And we're going to bake this at 325 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes. The granola is going to absorb the liquid, the butter and the honey, as it's cooking. And when it's finished, it will be a golden brown color, and it'll be a little tacky, but it shouldn't be wet. So that's what we're looking for. All right, I'm gonna go pop it in the oven. The house smells amazing. Granola is one of the best air fresheners or candle scents that you can have in the house. So you can see that the honey almond granola is now a golden color, and it looks a little bit tacky or moist, but it is going to dry as it cools, so it'll get nice and crispy. So that's what our next step is to make sure that it dries for probably about 15 minutes to where it's cool to the touch, and then we'll put it in a storage container. This is probably one of my favorite guilty pleasure combinations with the granola and something semi-healthy. So I like to buy the key lime Greek yogurt. So it's just plain Greek yogurt with a little bit of key lime flavoring in there. And I like to make a little bit of a parfait with it. So I start with a parfait glass, and we'll put in a little bit of the Greek yogurt. Doesn't have to be perfect. This kind of makes it look a little fancy too. And then I'll layer in some of the cinnamon maple granola once it's cooled. It's a good summery dessert. Makes it kind of taste like key lime pie cheesecake, but it's not as indulgent. It's as decadent, but not as indulgent. And so what you're going to do is you'll just layer some of the key lime pie yogurt, and then add in the granola. And then top it off with a good old scoop of the yogurt. There we go. And then we'll just top it off with a little bit more granola. You can see how pretty it is with all the different layers. You could put fruit in there if you wanted to too. And then you just would use a nice teaspoon. And there is a good little summer dessert that's not too heavy like a cheesecake, but tastes like one. Now that the honey almond granola has cooled, it's time to mix it with some other fun toppings. So this is the one that's super customizable. You can add dried fruit to it. I'm gonna add semi-sweet chocolate chips and some toasted coconut, and you can make your own kind of trail mix really. So I like to add a little bit of the honey granola, the almond slivers in there, and then just a little bit of the toasted coconut, and some mini chocolate chips. I like the mini in this one because it doesn't overpower the other ingredients. But then you've got like a little trail mix right there. So one of my favorite things to do, it's fun if you have got kids that are over for the weekend doing a slumber party, you can put a yogurt bar out, have different granola and some different toppings, some fruit, a couple chocolate chips, and it's a really fun experience. And my favorite thing to do on the weekend, and this is what I do when I take their granola to travel, is I do some non-fat Greek yogurt. It's just plain. And then I always have some kind of fresh fruit with me. And then my favorite combination is actually the maple cinnamon granola with this combination, because it does add a really good sweetness to it. The strawberries weren't already sweet enough. This just adds a good crunch and some good sweetness to it. So this is usually my breakfast on the weekends when we travel, because I don't have to wait for anybody to make breakfast for me, or nobody has to join me, or I can share it with the crowd. It's super easy and gives me some protein and fruit and just a little bit of crunch of granola. So if you're really feeling decadent, you can take the trail mix that we just made and sprinkle it over ice cream, and that also makes a really good dessert. When you want to kind of go over the top and use your granola after dinner. If you'd like to see today's recipe, head on over to my blog. I've put the link in the description below, and you'll find the ingredients and everything that we did today over there. Until next time, cook great things in your kitchen, share it with those that you love, and I can't wait to see you soon.